If you want to purchase a home for the best price possible, continue watching this video because we're going to talk about three things. Number one, we're going to talk about timing. Number two, we're going to talk about motivation. And number three, we're going to talk about clean bids. So number one, let's talk about timing. What we first need to figure out is, are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market? A seller's market is where the sellers have the control. It means that there's low inventory and a lot of buyers are looking to buy. So the person who has the upper hand is the seller. They get to dictate a lot of what happens in the contract because they have a more favorable market position. Vice versa on the buyer's market. In a buyer's market, you have more control as a buyer, right? There's a lot of inventory, there's not a lot of buyers, so sellers are more desperate to sell. So right now, we're moving from a seller's market, we're in kind of neutral territory, and we'll see where the market goes. But keep that in mind when you're structuring a bid, is you don't want to be too aggressive because sellers right now are used to feeling like they have the control in the negotiation position. So when you hire a realtor, make sure you have that conversation about what the timing looks like in the market. It's all about supply and demand, and make sure you structure your offer in the best way possible. Number two, let's talk about motivation, all right? So what we want to do is figure out if the seller of the house that we're looking at is motivated, right? So maybe they had some personal factors that went on, but one of the biggest tellers of figuring out if a seller is motivated or not is to go and look at days on market and price changes. Okay, so days on market tells us how long this property has been listed for, right? So a good property that's priced well in its market should sell in about 2 weeks. If it's not, something is going wrong with that listing. So this could be just a different assortment of things. It might be priced incorrectly, there might be problems with the home, they might have already had an offer in that fell through with financing. There's a lot of things that can happen. Doesn't mean it's a bad house, but it's a conversation to have with your realtor. Look at days on market to figure out what the seller's motivation might look like, okay? Something else to look at is, have they had price drops over the past couple of weeks? Did they put it on the market and take it off? Did they have financing fall through? Use all of these to your advantage to figure out what kind of offer you're gonna put in. Don't go in blind, not knowing or having a clue on the motivation of a seller. All right, so we did timing, we did motivation, and the last piece of the puzzle is make your bid clean, okay? So here's what I mean by that. Everyone wants to structure a bid where they get the most closing costs paid for, they get title insurance paid for, they get all of the tax credits, they get personal items. As much as you want in your contract, know that it could come at a cost of losing out on the negotiation. So when you are setting up the offer that you're wanting to put in on a home, don't try to be greedy if you're wanting to get the house. If you want to get the house, make sure that your bid is as clean as possible, asks for as little as possible so that you can make sure you have the strongest negotiation position. Now this comes into play with all those other factors. If you are in a seller's market and the seller has not extreme motivation to purchase, then if you come in asking for a lot, it's going to be a tough sell for that seller to want to accept the offer. Whereas if we're talking about a buyer's market, maybe the seller has a high motivation, you might be able to ask for a lot in terms of concessions and other credits, as well as maybe personal items that you can get into the contract. Okay, so keep in mind your timing, motivation, and keeping your bid clean when you're looking at putting in an offer. If you have questions, let me know. Other than that, enjoy your day, be well. Talk to you soon.